Hi everyone, I wanted to put out just a brief video talking a little bit about Module 3 here and looking a little bit ahead into Module 4. So this module, you're going to be going over some more material and you're going to be taking Quiz 3 and then we have the article critique. I hope the first few weeks have been going really well for you guys. I know it's been kind of the typical format with you do some reading, then you have a quiz. That material has been really important, so I hope you are staying on top of it. But we're going to start breaking into some different types of assignments, like the article critique, and then next assignment you have your reference listing assignment. Module 4 is arguably one of the most important assignments of the semester because you're going to be collecting all of your research material for your paper. And that module is really going to detail what is a peer-reviewed article and what kind of sources you can have for your paper, which is, again, arguably one of the most important thing about APA research. So I have an extensive video there on that. There are multiple resources for you there in terms of learning about peer-reviewed articles, including some little documents. There's reading in the Landrum book that you'll be doing. There's a lot of resources through Forsyth Library here on the Fort Hays campus. So please be sure to review those as well. So maybe even look ahead into that module if you get these assignments done in a timely manner. Your topics, I sent out an announcement recently just confirming that everyone can have their first pick. The variability of the choices was perfectly fine. So I hope that you want your first pick. If you really want your second pick, you can go with that too. Just shoot me an email that you'd rather go with your second choice. A couple of you have done that already. But that is the topic I just want to reiterate that you will be working with throughout the rest of the semester. So you're not doing all three topics. You're just doing one of those three topics that you sent me, and you can have your first pick. Okay, so for this module, the article critique is kind of one of the larger assignments, or kind of the first different assignment of the semester. The reason why we do this is because the article that you are reading is a peer-reviewed article, and is the flavor of reference or source that you will be looking for your own topic, meaning that it is a peer-reviewed academic scholarly article. I won't go too much more into what that means right now, because if you want to learn a little bit more about that now, you can go ahead to Module 4. But we're just kind of priming ourselves to getting ready to reading and going through some of those types of articles. The reason why I chose this specific article, this is the main reason why I made this video, is because the article that I chose for you guys to read is a seminal work in the field of psychology. You cannot read a general psychology textbook or a cognitive psychology textbook without having at least a chapter or a part of a chapter devoted to this topic, the idea of false memories. Loftus and Palmer, especially Elizabeth Loftus, was really the first person to make this work come to light. And this work set off such a controversy in its early years that Elizabeth Loftus would get death threats and was ridiculed. And there are some reasons for that. And I'm not saying I agree with, obviously, I don't think anyone should be threatened for the type of work they do. But I'm not espousing any agenda here. I'm just letting you guys know that it's a really important article in the history of psychology in general. The reason why it is such a hot topic is because the article kind of almost created the field of what's called false memories. So the idea that you can say that you remember something happening when in reality it didn't happen. And this experiment that she did kind of demonstrates that that can happen. So the example or the experiment that she does, essentially, people watch videos of two cars crashing into each other, and depending on how the interviewer asks the questions to these people determines how fast they estimate the car's going and whether they saw broken glass or not. So what we're seeing here is how someone phrases a question can essentially create what you thought you saw. So there's a lot of implications here in terms of like, eyewitness testimony, and what you thought you saw, even depending on how people ask you questions, in things like sexual abuse victims and abuse victims in general. Did how the forensic interview will ask you questions lead to kind of false memories that may not have happened? There has been evidence that has happened with some victims, and some people have been wrongly accused. Um, so just some really interesting things that have happened, and it just really shows, in some respects, I think, how interesting the mind is, and how I don't know if fragile is the right word, but in some ways our mind is susceptible to outside influence that sometimes we may not be so conscious of. So it is a really interesting area of study, and this is why I chose this article. It is a relatively short article. It doesn't get into the idea of false memories and eyewitness testimony and abuse victims and things like that. Um, other other research does that's based on this research, but this was kind of like the first article, so it's kind of like the first edition. So I thought it would be kind of interesting for you guys to read. Again, it's relatively brief. It's only like 5 pages long. Most of your peer-reviewed articles will hopefully be a little bit longer than that. They usually average more like 5 to 15 pages plus. I hope you guys enjoy reading this article. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I hope your semester's off to a great start, and we'll meet later.